focus about the theme of this particular lesson. The theme deals with child labor and the misery and hardships these children undergo in these glass furnaces and other places where they have to live their life. The significance of this title, Lost Spring, is very self-explanatory. In a man's life or in a human existence, whether it is a male or female, childhood is considered as the most precious period of time. So it is considered as the spring of one's life. These children who are representing in this particular lesson represents many number of students in India as well as abroad who lost this springtime of their life. So this is very evidently told when we explain the character of Sahib-e Alam when he becomes a tea maker, because he is gifted 800 rupees per month, all the 4 days of meal, but he had lost his freedom to enjoy his life the way he wanted. That is why the writer cleanly explains the statement, Sahib is no longer his own master. There is a sentence. That means when he was a rag picker, he did not have his money and food, but he has his freedom to enjoy his childhood the way he envisioned. So that particular line indicates the significance of the title that the writer is trying to highlight here. Many number of students across the globe is losing the spring time of their period and to take the responsibilities of life at a time when they are supposed to enjoy their life in its fullest. So let's have a recap through this video first, and then we will come back to the lesson once again. So I would like to, before I go to the video, I would like to share the important areas where you need to focus upon when you discuss with for the examination. Mind children, reminding you everybody, this time we have MCQ type questions. Children, am I audible with you? Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
this time there are MCQ type questions. And don't think that MCQ type question means very easy question. The distractors will be closely correct. So out of that four, the best to choose is something that is confusing to everyone. So it is mandated from you people to read Flamingo thoroughly and to go through the next text, the second text also without hurry, because we cannot say that from the second text, non-detailed text, we have one extract coming up there in objective area. The third MC question comes from the second text which is prescribed for you. So especially we play with the what you mean by the word meanings. We play with the name of the speaker, identify the speaker. All those things are the major what you mean by areas where question setters are very happy to put questions upon, or what is the context in which that particular speaker has told that, what does the hearer how did the hearer respond to that particular restraint. So whenever you read the text, you have to make a close watch of that particular sentences. Understand, four WH questions are mandatory. Identify the speaker, identify the listener, why did the speaker say so, what is the reaction of the listener, what is the context of that particular speech, which lesson is taken from that particular context, is taken from which lesson. All these areas you have to highlight. You have to buy a marker for that purpose alone. Mark it and please keep it with you, because anywhere the text person who sets the question can ask the question. Then for example, in the same thing, uh, in which year Sahib came from his birthplace, it can be closely related dates. If you get that particular date correctly, then you get 1 mark. If it is goes wrong, you loses 1 mark. Always remember that particular thing. Okay. So Here there are two episodes. The first episode is with the Sahib-e Alam, with the narrator of this particular lesson, or the writer of this Anis Hume. Why do you do this? I asked Sahib, who I encounter every morning scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. Sahib left his home long ago, set amidst the green fields of Dhaka. His home is not even a distant memory. There were many storms, and that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that's why they left looking for gold in big city where he lives now. So his origin, sometimes, even if this particular thing can come as a question, Sahib-e Alam's native country is dash. It can be India, Dhaka, China, Japan. Four options are there. A student who did not give close reading to this particular aspect will be facing a problem then. Even though it is aware to you, sometimes you may have a confusion here and there. This will not create a confusion, but there are questions which can create close confusions when you read with the MCQs. I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. Go to school, I said glibly, realizing immediate how hollow the advice must sound. So here the question that we can expect is, from which country did he come? Can be a question over there. But here in the second aspect, there is a very important question. Why did the narrator feel embarrassed? Why did the narrator feel embarrassed when he saw Sahib the second time? When he sees Sahib the second time. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? It takes longer to build a school, I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. So when the narrator saw the boy, boy was very much anxious to learn whether his school is ready for him to go to school. So the narrator feel very much embarrassed and disappointed for giving a promise which was really not meant to realize for a small child. So that is the reason why the narrator feel embarrassed when when she sees this gentleman for the second time. So please highlight this particular two paragraphs in your text. Sometimes this can also come as a long answer question. Sometimes it can come as a long answer question. But promises like mine in every corner of the bleak world. Explain. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. So what are the promises? What do you mean by the promises here? Who is the mine in the above extract? Who is the mine referred in the above extract? Who is referred as his in the above extract? Find a word from the above extract which means unattractive. Find a word from the above extract which means unattractive. So these are the sample MCQs which can come from that particular thing. Who is the speaker? Who is referred as his in the above extract? Find a word which means unattractive from the above stanza. That is obviously bleak. Identify the lesson and the author. Identify the lesson and the author. So like this, you have to always put a WH questions on important remarks and statements of every lesson prescribed under Flamingo and the second text. After months of knowing him, I asked him his name, Sahib-e Alam. He announces. He does not know what it means. If he knew his meaning, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing in it. So, what is the irony of the name Sahib-e Alam? Can be a next 2-mark question where you need to focus. So the name which he carries means Lord of the Universe, but he is a rag picker. So that is something ironical in every respect. That is why there is an irony in that particular name. Unaware of what the name represents, he roams the street with his friends, an army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Over the months, I had come to recognize each of them. Why aren't you wearing chappals? I asked one. My mother did not bring them on down from the shelf, he answered simply. Even if she did, he will throw them off, adds another who is wearing shoes that do not match. When I commented on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. I want shoes, says a third boy who has never owned a pair in his life. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village roads. It is not the lack of money, but the tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. I wonder if this is an excuse to explain away the perpetual state of poverty. So here comes the next 2 mark question. What was the general reply given for not wearing chappals? What was the general reply given for by the boys for not wearing chappals? Kindly underline page number 14. For I think 14 last and 15 first paragraph. It is not the lack of money, but a tradition to have barefoot is an explanation, and the narrator sees that it is just an excuse to explain away the perpetual state of poverty. So the narrator did not believe that explanation. Instead, he says that it is one of the ways to cover up the state of poverty suffered by these children. So coming with a thing, we come to the next paragraph in page number 15. This paragraph gives a detailed explanation about Simapuri. What is Simapuri known for? Why is Simapuri metaphorically away from Delhi, etc.? Can you please mark down that paragraph? It's a very important paragraph in this particular text. I want this line to be underlined carefully. Write a short note about Simapuri. Can be a question. Okay. What does the narrator mean by the expression? Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it. Metaphorically, that line has to be underlined very clearly. See, the Simapuri is only miles away from New Delhi, which is the capital of our country, which is a symbolic of all kinds of developments, all kinds of next generation technologies, state of living. All these things are on the highest peak. But Simapuri is just the opposite of that thing. It is miles away, metaphorically, in terms of development, in terms of technological thing. It is just a bleak land, far away from any kinds of progress or far away from any kinds of development, etc. So it is a deserted area. While comparing, even though it lies geographically in close proximity with the most developed state in this world, in the country, it is away from all those developments when you terms for material prosperity and growth. When you compare these two adjoining places, they are far away from. They are far away. Both the districts are far away, or both the places are far away in terms of development and progress. So that particular aspect you have to highlight there. Then this is all self-explanatory, from where they came from, why do they leave, what was the purpose of their exodus from their Dhaka, and what the reactions of the women in that particular society, etc. It is self-explanatory. I don't want to waste your time. I sometime find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note, Sahib says, his eyes lifting up. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is hope in finding more. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from where it means to their parents. Again comes the next important area. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. Explain. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. What does the narrator mean by this statement? So, for a child, it is what you mean by it is a world of wonders. Each day, he gets one new discarded thing, which cannot be obtained in his life at any cost of time. So, for them, it is a land of wonders. But for the elders, it is the land of survival. Only from the things which you get, valuable things that you get from the scrap, you can get your evening meal by the evening. That means he goes to the collector and he has to sell those valuable things at a cost. With that money only, he is going to win over the bread and butter. On winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the French gate of a club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. I think the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind. Content here means satisfied. Content is used in the sense of satisfaction or satisfy. To watch it standing behind the fence. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. Sahib too is wearing a tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Someone gave them to me, he says in a manner of an explanation. The fact they are discarded shoes of some rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of the hole in one of them does not bother him. For one who has walked barefoot ever, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. But the game he is watching so intently is out of reach. The morning Sahib is on his way to milk booth in his hands with a steel canister. I am now working a tea stall down the road, he says, pointing in the distance. I'm paid 800 rupees and all my meals. Does he like the job? I ask. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over the shoulder. The bag was his, the canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Sahib is no longer his own master. So the last paragraph, once again, you kindly highlight it because most recurring question is the canister belongs to the last sentence. Sahib is no longer his master. Please explain. So when he was a child, he can wander anywhere where he wanted to go, roam wherever he wanted to go, enjoy his happiness in the way he wanted. But when he became this particular job, he lost his childhood because he has to be the servant of his master, doing his instructions, whatever he has told to him. So, children, in this first half, anything has to be explained. Anywhere you have a complaint, please identify the name of the writer. It is a lady. Don't write a he over there. It is she, please. Now let's come to the next character because of the lack of time. That is Mukesh. So who is Mukesh and what was his dream? So who is Mukesh and what was his dream? First question. Write a short note about Mukesh family. Write a short note about Mukesh family. What was Firozabad famous for? What was Firozabad famous for? What was Firozabad famous for? What was the hazards of working in a bangle industry? What are the hazards of working in a bangle industry? why was Mukesh attitude different from the family attitude? Or how is Mukesh different from his family? Why did the workers of Firozabad form into a cooperative? Why did the workers of Firozabad fail to form into a cooperative? Who is Savita and what is the significance of a reference in this lesson? Who is Savita and what is the significance of a reference in this thing? Because Savita is contrasted with Mukesh grandmother, who was once upon a time a very beautiful girl, but working over here for decades did not earn her anything, lest she has lost her what do you mean by youthfulness and vitality and become an unattractive woman at the end of her life. So that particular compare and contrast you have to highlight if it is being asked when you make that particular thing. There is one regular question. The bangle makers of Firozabad makes the entire country happy by spoiling their own life. Explain. Kindly underline that question. The bangle makers of Firozabad, the bangle makers of Firozabad makes the entire country beautiful by destroying their own life. Explain. So Mukesh family is among them. None of them knows that it is illegal for children, like that is all hazards of working in a bangle industry, etc. So coming down, I want you to tell me where you want to explain me much better. And it is his karma, his destiny, says Mukesh grandmother. So it is his karma, his destiny. So this can be given as who is the speaker of this particular lines, who is referred as his in the above extract. His refers to Mukesh. What was Mukesh destined to according to the speaker? What was Mukesh destined to according to the speaker? Mukesh was destined to become a bangle maker. Can a good God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies, born in the caste of a bangle maker, they have seen nothing but bangles in the house, in the yard, in every other house, every other yard, every other street, in every other places as possible. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the seven colors of the rainbow, lie in molds in unkept yards, as piled in four wheels handicraft, pushed by young men along the narrow streets of a shanty town. And in the dark hutments, next to the line of the flames of flickering oil lamps, sit down boys and girls with their fathers and mothers, welding pieces of colored glass into the circles of bangles. Their eyes are more adjustable to the dark than to the light outside. That is why they often end up in losing their eyesight before they become adults. So, hazards of working in a bangle industry. Savida, a young girl in the draping dress, sits along an elderly woman soldering pieces of glass. As her hands move mechanically like the tongs of a machine, I wonder if she knows the sanctity of the bangles she helps make. It symbolizes an Indian woman suhag, auspicious in marriage. It will be dawned on her suddenly one day with her head draped with a red veil, her head dyed red which, with henna and red bangles rolled into her wrist. She will then become a bride. Like the old woman beside her who becomes one many years ago, she still has bangle on her wrist but no light in her eyes. That can be also a possible MCQ question. She sits because here Who is the she referred, whether it is a grandmother or whether it is Savida? This is what I mean by you need to closely read the text. In that particular point of time, your mind says it is grandmother or it is Savida. This kind of confusions will prevail if you are not reading your text properly. See, she still has the bangles on her wrist, but no light in her eyes. Because this comes in the paragraph where you are mentioning about Savida. So obviously this can strike as Savida, but kindly be careful. It refers to the grandmother. She says in a voice drained of joy, she has not enjoyed even a one full meal in her entire lifetime, that what she was reaped. Her husband, an old man with a flowing beard, says, I know nothing except bangles. All I have done is to make a house for the family to live in. Underline. All I have done is, who is the speaker? Was the speaker happy when he speak these lines? What makes the man to refer the above statement? So kindly underline, all I have done is to make a house of family to live in. Who is the I referred here? What did the speaker done or achieved in his entire life? Hearing him, one wonders if he have achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. He had a roof over his hand. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. The young man echo the lament. Lament is means sadness. Little has moved with the time, it seems, in Firozabad. See, another 2 mark question can be highlighted here. Little had moved with the time, it seems, in Firozabad. What explain? Explain. Little has moved with the time, it seems, in Firozabad. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all the initiative and ability to dream. So here comes the next 2 mark question. Why not organize yourselves into a cooperative? So that is the most important area of a question. I asked a group of young men who had fallen into a vicious, the word meaning of vicious to be highlighted. It can come for an answer question. Of middlemen who trap their fathers and forefathers, even if we get organized, we are beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal, they say. There is no wonder among them. No one would help them to see things differently. Their fathers are as tired as they are. They talk of endlessly in spiral that moves from poverty to apathy, to greed and to injustice. Listening to them, I see the two distinct worlds. Another MCQ question possibility. What are the two distinct worlds mentioned by the narrator? What are the two distinct worlds mentioned by the narrator? Listening to them, I see the two distinct worlds. One of the family caught in the web of poverty. One is the world which is full with the poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. So that is one world. The other, a vicious circle of sahukas, the middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politicians. So kindly highlight this particular segment. So coming back to the lesson indeed, is there anything to be explained other than this? Any areas? So the long answer will be based on child labor and other things. What is the hazards of working in this particular industry, etc. can be asked. Anywhere I need to explain. This is the handout prepared by the department on behalf of the school. So kindly see, any questions need to be explained once again. Already that particular question is given over here. This also is explained. Children, are you there or still under the slumber? Can I have some responses from the class? Catherine, anybody can respond to me? Are you there?
Sir,
Yeah, fine.
yes, sir.
So it all speaks about the squatters. You can go through this. This also is a possible 2 mark question. Why does Anis Jung tell us about the life of Mukesh home in Firozabad? What circumstances forced Mukesh not to pursue his family business of bangle makers? Instead, what he did, he decided to do that particular thing. In 1971, Bangladeshi migrants came to Delhi looking for gold in bricks. What kind of a life are they living in Simaburi now? Describe the difficulties the bangle makers of Firozabad are to face in their lives. This is one of the most important and recurring question. How is Mukesh attitude towards his situation different from that of Sahib and why? How is Mukesh attitude towards their situation different from that of Sahib and why? Kindly write it as very, very important. Any other question to be asked? So children, I request you to join for the second session because I have to move on to the next lesson, thing of beauty. You please unjoin and rejoin it once again.